A young nurse tended to a millionaire in a coma, and when he unexpectedly awoke, an extraordinary event unfolded. The fluorescent lights in Westbridge Private Heart Hospital emitted a gentle hum as Anna Monroe strolled through the immaculate white corridors. She had served as a nurse here for nearly 2 years, yet today carried a distinct sense of change. The instant she got the unexpected call to Dr. Harris's office, the head of neurology, an unusual sensation took root in her chest. Had she committed a mistake? Was she undergoing a transfer? With a steadying inhale, she approached the gleaming mahogany door and raised her hand to knock. Step inside. Upon entering, she discovered Dr. Harris positioned by the window, his hands interlaced behind him, his keen gaze directed at the sprawling city skyline. The office was infused with the scent of sterile antiseptic mingling with the richness of expensive leather, creating an atmosphere that felt unusually weighty. "Anna," he said, finally directing his gaze toward her. His voice carried a weight of seriousness, each word deliberate and calculated. "We have a patient in need of specialized attention, but this role is not for the faint of heart." Anna's brows knitted together. "Not for the faint of heart? What type of patient?" she inquired with a hint of caution. Dr. Harris observed her intently for a moment, then motioned toward a substantial medical file resting on his desk. "Grant Carter," he stated. He remarked. Anna felt a tightness in her throat. Grant Carter. The Grant Carter. Though the name didn't strike a chord right away, the file's cover revealed everything. A stark black and white newspaper clipping depicting a tragic car crash. 1 year prior, the city's youngest billionaire experienced a life-altering accident. His sports car had careened off a bridge in the dead of night, plunging him into a coma that has persisted ever since. His name had previously commanded the spotlight. Grant Carter, the merciless and invincible leader of Carter Enterprises. A visionary who established a vast empire by the age of 32. At this moment, he existed merely as a specter confined within his own flesh. Dr. Harris continued, noting that his family seldom pays a visit. Many of the medical staff carry out their rounds merely out of a sense of duty. However, Grant Carter requires a devoted individual, person who genuinely cares. Anna nibbled on her lip. She sensed the uncertainty in his tone. "So, you believe that I am that person?" Dr. Harris gave a thoughtful nod. "I certainly do." Anna inhaled deeply. The responsibility was overwhelming, tending to a man who may never regain consciousness. A figure whose riches and influence once shaped the destinies of countless individuals. Yet, beneath the surface, she was aware of her response long before the words left her lips. "I will take care of it." Dr. Harris's lips formed a tight line, yet a spark of approval flickered in his eyes. "Excellent. Is your shift beginning this evening?" The private suite on the top floor of the hospital was enveloped in an unsettling silence as Anna entered. In stark contrast to the other patient room's cold sterility, this one exuded an air of luxury. An expansive arrangement, softly lit chandeliers, rich dark oak furnishings. At the heart of it all was Grant Carter. Her breath caught as she absorbed his presence. In spite of the tubes, the machines sustaining his existence, and the serene stillness of his form, there was an undeniable beauty about him. A defined jawline, dark lashes contrasting with his fair complexion, and broad shoulders peeking out from beneath the hospital gown. If it weren't for the eerie quiet, one might have mistaken him for a man merely in slumber. Yet this was not just any sleep. A man ensnared in an eternal hush. Anna took a deep breath and moved in closer, carefully adjusting his foredrip before picking up the warm cloth that had been set aside for him. She paused for a brief moment before softly placing it against his skin. As her fingers brushed against him, an inexplicable chill coursed down her spine, leaving her with a sense of bewilderment, as if he could sense her presence. Deep within the recesses of his mind, an awareness lingered. The gentle beep of the heart monitor broke the stillness, a steady and rhythmic sound. Anna dismissed the strange sensation and focused on her task, meticulously cleaning his arms and chest, ensuring his body was well maintained and attended to. "It seems you don't have a voice in this matter, do you?" she whispered softly, as if lost in her own thoughts. Stillness. I interpret that as a no. A faint smile played at the corners of her mouth, despite her efforts to resist it. The days settled into a familiar rhythm. Each morning and evening, Anna would wash him, replace his sheets, and keep a close eye on his vitals. However, it quickly evolved beyond mere medical care. She discovered she was sharing her thoughts with him, recounting tales of her day, of the life beyond his view. The cafeteria food is something you really need to check out, Grant. It's a heartbreaking situation. Even for someone with immense wealth, I question whether you could endure it. Quietude. I'm not sure why I'm engaging in this conversation. Perhaps I simply enjoy the melody of my own words. Stillness. Stillness. Perhaps you are truly paying attention. The heart monitor emitted a steady beep, almost as if it were responding to her presence. Perhaps, just perhaps, he truly was. Anna gently hummed a tune while she immersed a fresh washcloth into the soothing warmth of the water. The clinical stillness of Grant's exclusive hospital suite had become a familiar presence for her over the weeks. The rhythmic beep of the heart monitor, the subtle hum of the four-drip, had become mere elements of the ambient soundscape. She bent over the bed, delicately cleansing Grant's face, her touch both tender and exacting. "You know," she said, her voice airy and playful, "I came across a notion that individuals in comas might still be able to hear their surroundings. In all honesty, your listening skills leave much to be desired." Silence, naturally. With a heavy sigh, she shook her head in disbelief. "It's all right. I've grown accustomed to having conversations with myself these days." She reached to smooth the line of his jaw when, with a subtle shift, her breath hitched. Did she conjure it in her mind? She stood still, her gaze fixed on his hand. Silence. The fingers rested still upon the pristine white sheets. Anna chuckled softly, shaking her head in amusement. "Fantastic, now I'm seeing things that aren't there. Perhaps I'm the one in need of a hospital bed." Yet the discomfort remained. In the days that followed, it occurred once more. On the second occasion, she found herself rearranging his pillow. She was caught off guard when she sensed it. A delicate touch upon her wrist. Her gaze dropped suddenly. Grant's hand had moved. Just a slight shift, but it was enough to send her stomach into a whirl. "Grant," she murmured, barely aware that she had spoken his name. Quietude. The persistent, rhythmic sound of the monitor echoed. Beep, beep, beep. She rested her hand atop his, absorbing his warmth, his tranquility, the promise of motion within him. Silence prevails. Could it be that her mind was playing tricks on her? Or was there a shift occurring? Anna felt an unsettling sensation that lingered, prompting her to bring it to Dr. Harris's attention. Did he relocate? The physician raised an eyebrow in doubt. "Indeed," Anna confessed. "Initially, I believed it was just my imagination, yet it continues to occur." His fingers dance with anticipation. His hand moves with a subtle grace. It may be small, yet it undeniably exists. Dr. Harris reclined in his chair, immersed in contemplation. He finally stated that we would conduct tests. "However, it's wise not to raise your expectations too much, Anna. It might simply be involuntary muscle contractions." Anna nodded, yet beneath the surface, doubt lingered in her heart. She sensed a shift occurring. When the test results arrived, she felt no surprise. Dr. Harris informed her that there was heightened brain activity. His neurological responses have intensified compared to earlier. Her heart soared. "Ah, he's coming to life." Dr. Harris paused, uncertainty flickering in his eyes. "Not really. It has the potential to signify a multitude of things. However, this indicates a positive development." It wasn't the response she had hoped for, yet it sufficed. That evening, as she lingered by his bedside, Anna discovered she was engaging with Grant more than she typically did. "I'm not sure if you can hear me, but I have a feeling you can," she whispered. She cast her eyes upon his visage, taking in the defined contours of his face. Remaining completely still, for the first time, she sensed a presence beside her. A feeling of companionship that enveloped the space. Thus she spoke. She recounted the events of her day to him, concerning the patients who exasperated her, concerning the impolite physician on the third level who consistently took her coffee without permission. She shared with him the stories of her childhood, reflecting on the quaint little town of her childhood. She often reflected on her lifelong aspiration to become a nurse. Unbeknownst to her, as she poured out her thoughts, Grant lay in the stillness of his coma, absorbing every word she uttered. The morning sun streamed through the hospital room's expansive windows, enveloping Grant Carter's still figure in a gentle golden light. The heart monitors beeping pierced the quiet, a steady and rhythmic sound that had persisted for the past year. Anna positioned herself next to the bed, preparing to take action as she rolled up her sleeves. It was merely another day, a familiar ritual of cleansing, another session of conversing with someone who may never respond to her. She immersed a soft cloth in the basin, carefully wrung it out, and started to tenderly cleanse Grant's chest, her actions deliberate and attentive. "You know, Grant," she murmured, a faint smile playing on her lips, "I was thinking about getting a dog. I seek a companion who will truly engage with me, rather than simply being present without acknowledgement." Quietude. She let out a weary breath. "All right, that was a bit harsh. I was simply trying to engage in a dialogue." She extended her hand towards his arm, gliding the fabric over his skin, her fingertips lightly grazing his wrist. And then, his grip tightened around her wrist. Anna stood still. A sudden gasp caught in her throat as she fixed her gaze on his hand. The pressure was not gentle. It was weak and hesitant, yet undeniably present. Oh my goodness! Her heart raced fiercely, the rhythm echoing in her ears. She hoped it was merely a reflex, just another insignificant twitch. Yet it was not. In that moment, Grant's eyes flew open. In that fleeting instant, Anna found herself frozen, unable to move, to draw a breath, or to gather her thoughts. For months, she had been fixated on those closed eyelids, eagerly awaiting any hint of movement, any glimmer of life. And now, those deep ocean blue eyes were fixed intently on her. They found themselves in a state of bewilderment, lacking clarity, exposed, yet undeniably breathing. Grant's parched lips opened slightly. His voice was raspy, almost a murmur, yet it carried an undeniable authenticity. "Organization. Lie?" Anna's whole being tightened. Her knees threatened to give way, her breath trapped in a tumult of disbelief and raw panic. He articulated his thoughts. He stirred from his slumber. What seemed unthinkable had just occurred. She hardly noticed the basin of water slipping from her hands, splattering onto the immaculate white floor as she staggered backward. Oh my goodness! Her intuition surged to the forefront. With a swift motion, she pivoted and struck her hand against the emergency button mounted on the wall. A piercing alarm echoed down the corridor. Moments later, the door swung wide, and a flurry of doctors and nurses stormed in, with Dr. Harris at the forefront. What transpired? Dr. Harris insisted as he approached the bedside, swiftly assessing Grant's vitals. Anna's voice trembled. He took hold of my hand. He slowly opened his eyes. She cast a glance back at Grant, her mind struggling to comprehend the reality before her. His chest rose and fell with a tremor, his eyes flitting around the room as if attempting to assemble the fragments of his surroundings. What was unfolding? He was not entirely conscious of it, not at this moment, yet he found himself present. Dr. Harris's expression shifted from disbelief to determination. Assemble a neurological team immediately. Nurses rushed, their voices a cacophony of disbelief as they hurried to conduct tests. The room buzzed with activity, yet Anna's gaze remained fixed on Grant. Then, as if sensing her gaze, his eyes met hers once more, and this time he held her stare. Everything unfolded at a dizzying pace. The physicians were inquiring about his condition, illuminating his eyes with bright lights, assessing his motor skills. Yet amidst everything, Grant's eyes continually wandered back to Anna. She advanced cautiously, her throat tightening as she swallowed. "Grant," she murmured, "do you recall anything?" He gazed at her, his eyelids fluttering gently. A prolonged quiet lingered in the air between them. In that moment, his fingers danced with a sudden energy, and before she could even process it, he grasped her hand. Gently, gradually, yet with purpose. His hand enveloped hers, a delicate yet resolute grip, as if an unspoken connection had always existed between them. Anna's breath caught in her throat. Dr. Harris glanced up with sudden intensity. "Grant, are you familiar with her identity?" Grant paused before responding. His brows knitted together, his eyes fixed intently on Anna. "I don't know," he murmured, his voice gravelly from months of neglect. "However, I sense that I ought to." A shiver coursed through Anna's body. For even if Grant Carter had no recollection of her, there was an undeniable sense within him that recognized her essence. The days following Grant's astonishing revival were consumed by evaluations, rehabilitation, and a barrage of inquiries. The recovery left the doctors in awe. Though his body was frail, there was a noticeable progress in his condition. His muscles, once stiff from a year of immobility, were slowly regaining strength through the process of rehabilitation. However, on a mental level, that was a different tale altogether. Grant found himself unable to recall any details regarding the incident. As they continued to demand specifics, his frustration grew exponentially. "Grant, let's give it another shot," Dr. Harris suggested during one of their sessions. "What do you recall as your final memory?" Grant massaged his temples. A look of strain etched across his face. "I'm uncertain. Where were you, if anything? What were you up to?" Grant let out a sharp breath. "I mentioned it to you. This merely fragments, glimpses. Share some details about them." Prolonged stillness. Then, Grant shut his eyes, his brows knitting together. "I recall. An emotion." His voice carried a deliberate hesitance, each word measured and tentative. "As if something was amiss. Felt as though I was in peril." Anna, who had been observing silently from the periphery, tensed up. Grant pressed on, his fingers tightening into fists. "A road stretched out before me, illuminated beams cutting through the darkness. And then silence. Only black." Dr. Harris let out a weary sigh. It is not unusual for individuals who have experienced trauma to suppress distressing memories. It might return by itself. At this moment, our attention is directed towards healing. Grant gave a slight nod. Yet Anna could perceive the irritation etched in his tightly set jaw. Yet, beneath the surface, an unsettling sense lingered, whispering that all was not as it should be. That night, consumed by her thoughts, Anna made her way to the hospital archives. She had perused Grant's file previously, yet this time, she examined each detail with renewed perspective. And that was the moment she caught sight of it. It was an aspect she had overlooked previously. The findings from the accident reconstruction team indicated that Grant's brakes had malfunctioned, unsuccessful, not exhausted, not broken, altered. A shiver coursed through her body. This was more than a mere accident. There was a desire for Grant's demise. He was completely unaware. With a tremulous inhale, she shut the file. She had to share it with him. For if an attempt on his life had been made before, the possibility of it happening again loomed large. Grant's recovery was progressing with astonishing rapidity. In a matter of weeks, he transformed from being confined to bed to sitting upright, feeding himself, and articulating complete sentences. With the guidance of physical therapy, he was on the path to rediscovering the art of walking. And throughout everything, Anna remained present. Each movement, each challenge, in every moment of frustration when he felt like surrendering, she was there to draw him back in. "I can't do this," Grant muttered. His hands clenched around the parallel bars as he struggled to lift himself up. "Absolutely, you can," Anna asserted confidently, standing beside him. "You've made it this far, Grant. Keep going." He glanced at her, his breath coming in deep, labored gasps. Her words carried a deeper intention, aiming to inspire him genuinely. She had unwavering faith in him, and that instilled a sense of self-belief in him. With a resolute breath, he advanced another step. Anna's expression brightened. That's all there is to it. At last, after a long stretch of waking hours, Grant found himself smiling. Not for the sake of courtesy. Not because I have to. Yet, for the first time he experienced a sense of vitality once more. He was fully aware of whom to express his gratitude towards for that. Anna stood apart from the rest. She saw him as more than just someone to help. She viewed him not as a billionaire confined to a hospital bed. She caught sight of him, only Grant, and that was the reason he felt drawn to her. In her presence, the atmosphere seemed to brighten, as if a weight had been lifted. Each time she spoke, her voice drew him out of the shadows that still lingered in his thoughts. Each time her hand brushed against him, whether steadying his arm as he walked or adjusting his pillow, an unexplainable tingling sensation coursed through his skin. After an especially lengthy therapy session one evening, Anna proposed a stroll through the hospital's garden. Perhaps a breath of fresh air would be beneficial, she suggested with a smile. Grant consented. Yet, he was unprepared for the stark contrast of sensations that awaited him beyond the confines of the hospital walls. The refreshing night breeze, the whispering leaves, the moon illuminated the landscape with a gentle radiance. For the first time, he experienced a sense of humanity once more. Not a client, not an enigma with forgotten recollections. Only he. What is the reason? And next to him, Anna. They strolled at a leisurely pace, Anna grasping his arm for stability. Initially, Grant perceived it merely as an aspect of her profession. Yet, he noticed how her fingers softly brushed against his wrist, the manner in which she cast her eyes upon him, believing he was unaware of her gaze, the subtle hitch in her breath each time he drew near. In that instant, clarity washed over him. She sensed it as well, the allure, the silent bond that existed between them. They paused beside a quaint stone bench, the moonlight weaving shadows throughout the garden. Grant turned to face her, his heartbeat racing for an entirely new reason this time. Anna parted her lips, ready to speak. Yet, just as she was about to speak, Grant gently grasped her hand. Her lips parted in astonishment, her gaze probing his. "I can't recall anything from my past," he confessed, his tone barely above a whisper. "However, I am certain of one thing." Anna gulped. "Excuse me?" He clenched her fingers firmly. "Your trust in me is appreciated." The language was straightforward, yet for him they held immense significance. And considering how Anna's breath hitched in her throat, the way her cheeks glowed softly beneath the moon's gentle embrace, her refusal to withdraw, she comprehended. For the time being, that sufficed. The evening was filled with unease. Grant lay restless in his hospital bed, his body frail, yet his thoughts surged with intensity. Suddenly, a burst of light, a sudden surge of recollection flooded his mind, overwhelming him like a dam giving way. The path lay shrouded in darkness. The rain lashed against the windshield, the wipers battling to maintain visibility. Grant clutched the steering wheel firmly, his thoughts still muddled from the meeting he had just exited. There was an unsettling sensation in the air. Turned off. Suddenly, without any warning. Illuminated beams. Radiant. Hastily approaching. A dark SUV veered into his lane at breakneck speed. Grant wrenched the wheel, his tires sliding on the wet asphalt. The brakes failed to engage. His heart raced as he fervently sought to reclaim his composure. Just before the moment of collision, his gaze flicked to the roadside. A mysterious silhouette lingered, observing intently. And then, darkness enveloped everything. Grant's eyes flew open, his breath quick and ragged. His heart pounded, beads of sweat adhering to his skin. The recollection was strikingly clear, almost tangible. At that moment, he grasped the reality. This was no mere coincidence. An attempt had been made on his life. As Anna stepped into his room the following morning, an unsettling feeling washed over her, signaling that something was amiss. He stood apart. His typical smirk had vanished. His physique was taut. His hands were tightly balled into fists. "Grant," she inquired with caution, "what seems to be the issue?" His piercing blue eyes fixed on hers, brimming with a fresh intensity. "A memory comes to mind." Anna felt a sinking sensation in her stomach. What about the accident? He offered a rigid acknowledgement. It was no mere coincidence, Anna. My brakes have been tampered with. There stood a man by the roadside, observing as my car met its fate in a crash. Anna experienced a shiver that coursed down her spine. All her suspicions had just been validated by him. Yet, the inquiry lingered. Who is it? What is the reason behind that? Sore. Anna and Grant dedicated the following days to an intense investigation, meticulously sifting through Grant's files, company records, and any potential clues that might reveal who had a motive to eliminate him. At long last, they discovered it. A monetary transaction, a significant amount transferred mere days prior to the incident. Who is the recipient? A notorious figure recognized for masterminding elaborate staged accidents. What about the sender? Nathan Carter, the half-brother of Grant. The understanding struck with overwhelming force. It was him, Grant murmured, clutching the edge of the table tightly. Nathan had perpetually harbored jealousy, constantly sensing that Grant was the favored one, the one who embraced their father's legacy while he remained cloaked in the shadows. And now, he had attempted to wipe Grant from existence entirely. Anna sensed a tightness in her chest. Grant had a desire to see you gone. Grant's jaw clenched. And now I will ensure he faces the consequences. That evening, Grant and Anna planned to confront Nathan in person. In the softly illuminated study of the Carter estate, Nathan reclined in a leather chair, swirling a glass of whiskey as Grant and Anna made their entrance. Nathan couldn't help but smirk. The lifeless figure strides forth. Grant's eyes blazed with anger. What prompted you to take that action, Nathan? Nathan savored his drink, taking a deliberate, measured sip. You're already aware of the reasons. Anna moved ahead. You attempted to take the life of your own brother. What for? Funds? Strength? Nathan's smirk disappeared. For all that was rightfully mine, he spat. You were forever the shining star, the successor, the individual who received everything on a silver platter. Well, would you believe it? I grew weary of the endless wait for my moment. Grant's hands clenched tightly into fists. So, you employed someone to undermine my vehicle. Nathan let out a chilling laugh. I never expected you to make it through. But, unexpected things can occur, can't they? Anna experienced a tempest of fury brewing within her. Just as she was about to speak, the door swung open with force, and two officers in uniform entered the room. Nathan's complexion drained of color. Nathan Carter, one officer declared, you are under arrest for attempted murder. Nathan spun to face Grant, his face contorting with alarm. You orchestrated this situation. Grant inclined his head. No, my friend, you brought this upon yourself. Nathan was taken away in handcuffs, shouting hollow threats. As the door banged closed behind him, an oppressive stillness enveloped the space. Grant finally let out a breath, his shoulders easing for the first time since he had risen. The end had come. The scales of justice had finally balanced. At last, he had broken free. The Carter estate stood as a magnificent yet chilling testament to affluence, a stronghold crafted from centuries of influence. Yet this evening, as Anna entered the softly illuminated dining hall, it seemed transformed, cozier, more personal. The gentle glow of candlelight danced across the beautifully arranged table beside the expansive glass windows, framing a view of the city skyline. The aroma of blooming roses wafted through the atmosphere, while a bottle of wine rested in a cool embrace next to two meticulously arranged plates. Anna's breath hitched. Grant, what is going on here? She inquired, pivoting to meet his gaze. Grant lingered behind her, his hands nestled in his pockets, his blue eyes a blend of softness and intensity. Dinner, he stated plainly. Only you and I. Anna felt a constriction in her chest. In recent weeks, their existence had been a tempest, marked by his healing journey, the quest to uncover the reality behind his mishap, and the shocking moment of witnessing his brother taken into custody. Yet, as the tempest receded into memory, all that remained was this singular moment, and in some way that seemed even more terrifying. As they settled into their seats, Anna felt the weight of Grant's gaze upon her. as if he were committing every nuance to memory, as though she were both delicate and invaluable. "You're quiet," she remarked, a playful smile dancing on her lips. "That's uncharacteristic of you." He breathed out slowly, letting the wine glass dance between his fingers. "I have been contemplating." "That's even more perilous," she quipped. He remained silent. Instead, he leaned in closer, his eyes piercing through hers. "Anna, are you aware of how many people turned their backs on me during my time in that coma?" Her smile dimmed. She was aware of too. She had witnessed it up close, the manner in which his family regarded him as a liability, the way his so-called friends had simply drifted away. He had endured the depths of that darkness solely because someone chose to remain by his side. For the reason that she remained. "Yet you chose not to," Grant whispered. "You stood by time and again. You looked after me when I was unable to see the world around me. When I seemed like a hopeless case to everyone around me, you chose to believe in me." Anna felt a constriction in her throat. She had never considered it from that perspective. She had merely acted in accordance with her convictions. Yet for Grant it held immense significance. Grant inched nearer, his fingers lightly grazing hers on the table. "Anna, I possess it all." His voice carried a gentle strength. "Wealth, authority, sway. Yet, all of it holds no significance in your absence." Anna's breath caught in her throat. "Grant, allow me to complete my thought," he murmured. His hand finally enveloped hers, his thumb gently gliding in slow, tender circles against her skin. "I'm uncertain about how it came to be. I'm uncertain about when it all began. Yet what I understand is that throughout every second I lingered in that coma, it was you who sustained my existence. You were my beacon in the shadows, Anna." Her eyes shimmered with unshed tears. "My affection for you knows no bounds." The words surged towards her, snatching the air from her chest. Not that she hadn't experienced it herself, but his words brought an undeniable reality to it. Grant Carter, a figure who had previously navigated a realm of frigid logic, financial transactions, and strategic maneuvers, now found himself seated opposite her, revealing the depths of his inner self. For the very first time, Anna experienced a sensation unlike anything she had ever known. Deeply, wholly, undeniably treasured. She smiled through the tears that slipped down her cheeks. "Grant," she murmured, "you can't fathom the depth of what that signifies for me." He lifted his hand, softly brushing away a tear that had escaped down her cheek. "Allow me to demonstrate." As he leaned in, their foreheads touching, Anna felt a profound understanding wash over her. This is just the start. Time had slipped away since that pivotal evening when Grant revealed his feelings for Anna. And during that period, everything had transformed. Grant had completely bounced back, restoring his strength through countless hours of rehabilitation and training. His body had shed its frailty, liberated from the constraints of the accident that had almost claimed his life. What comes next? He was Grant Carter again, back in charge of Carter Enterprises, standing in the boardroom with the assurance of someone who had faced the darkest depths and emerged victorious. Yet, a significant distinction existed between the individual he had been prior to the accident and the person present here now. This time he had company. This time he had Anna by his side. And soon, if she agreed, she would belong to him for all time. The rooftop of the Carter estate glimmered under the gentle light of the setting sun, enveloping the city skyline in warm golden tones. Anna stood at the precipice, her eyes fixed on the stunning panorama, blissfully ignorant of the impending events. "It's stunning up here," she whispered, the wind softly tousling her hair. Grant, positioned just behind her, wore a smile. "Not quite as lovely as you." She glanced at him, a playful roll of her eyes accompanying her expression. Elegant Carter, incredibly seamless. However, her playful demeanor vanished as she noticed the intensity of his gaze upon her. Tonight, his eyes held a distinct quality, something that set them apart, something profound, increased confidence, endlessly boundless. Just as the question was about to form on her lips, he inhaled deeply. Then, gradually, he sank to one knee. Anna's breath hitched in her throat. Her hands flew to her mouth as Grant revealed a small velvet box, flipping it open to unveil the most breathtaking engagement ring she had ever encountered. An exquisite diamond nestled in a delicate platinum band. Yet it was not the ring that left her breathless. It was indeed him. His voice quivered just a bit as he leaned in to whisper, "Anna, you transformed my existence. You became my everything." Her heart raced. Prior to your arrival, I possessed it all: wealth, influence, achievement. Yet, there was an absence I couldn't quite place. Your absence has been felt deeply. Emotion filled her gaze. You are the motivation behind my will to survive. The reason I rediscovered my true self. From this moment forward, my greatest desire is to ensure you fully understand the depth of your significance in my life. He raised the ring, his gaze locked onto hers. Anna Monroe, will you be my wife? Time seemed to pause. Anna was unable to utter a word, struggled for air. She could only nod vigorously, a mix of laughter and tears overflowing simultaneously. Indeed, she succeeded at last, her voice trembling. Indeed, Grant. Absolutely, without a doubt. Grant exhaled deeply, gently placing the ring on her finger before enveloping her in his embrace, drawing her into his universe, into eternity. As their lips brushed beneath the waning sunlight, Anna felt an undeniable certainty. This was her rightful place. Forever. The Carter estate shone with an unparalleled brilliance on the day of their wedding. The gardens became a captivating realm of beauty and magic. White roses adorned the pathways. Glistening lights adorned the majestic oak trees, while gentle melodies floated through the air, captivating the guests as they assembled in wonder. Anna stood at the grand entrance, adorned in a stunning white gown, her heart pounding with anticipation. Are you prepared? Lisa, her trusted confidant, leaned in to share a secret beside her. Anna inhaled deeply, her grip on the bouquet growing firmer. Then, she lifted her gaze, and there he stood. Grant stood at the altar, clad in a timeless black tuxedo, gazing at her as though she were the sole inhabitant of the cosmos. Her anxiety dissipated. Puis, she advanced confidently, making her way down the aisle with unwavering assurance. With every step, she edged nearer to eternity. As she finally approached him, Grant grasped her hands gently, his eyes radiating with an intensity of love that was both profound and unrestrained. The vows were exchanged, their commitment solidified not merely in language, but in the indestructible connection forged through each challenge, every struggle, and every instance of steadfast loyalty. You are now united as husband and wife. A wave of excitement surged as Grant gently cradled her face, delivering a kiss that was both profound and deeply sincere against her lips. In the midst of the world's celebration, Anna came to a profound realization. Their tale was far from over. This is merely the start. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Grant and Anna quietly distanced themselves from the throng, fingers intertwined as they wandered through the gardens, reveling in their newfound existence. Enough with the hospitals. Loneliness is a thing of the past. End of suffering. Only the two of them united forever. Grant held her hand softly. You know, he murmured, I believed I had it all figured out before I crossed paths with you. Anna beamed, leaning her head gently against his shoulder. What comes next? He gazed at her, his demeanor gentle, unwavering, infinite. At this moment, I realized that everything I once held dear is insignificant. You are the most incredible thing that has ever come into my life. Anna fought to hold back tears, deeply moved by the weight of his words. As they moved closer to the warm embrace of the setting sun, she felt a deep understanding wash over her. They had weathered tempests, navigated shadows, and faced brushes with mortality. Ultimately, love triumphed. With Grant beside her, Anna felt a sense of belonging at last. As Grant and Anna strolled hand in hand into their blissful future, their tale transformed into a testament to something profoundly impactful. True affection transcends the mere act of discovering a partner. It embodies the commitment to support one another through life's tempests. Anna held steadfast to her belief in Grant, even when everyone else had turned away. Ultimately, It was love, rather than wealth or influence, that genuinely rescued him. See you in the near future.